What is going on, everyone? Welcome into Bayou Bengals football. So, what a win for LSU! And this was a win where you kind of had the feel that you got to win against Missouri. You were hoping for not only obviously to win this game, but you're hoping that you wanted to try to build off the things you did against Missouri and kind of duplicate those and continue to improve defensively. And all those things were true for LSU. They not only took another step forward defensively, but their offense looked really good. And what really stands out to me about this game was Kyron Lacey getting involved. Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Neighbors, both those guys really showed what they could do this year. I think Kyron Lacey is kind of that guy that this was a game they've been waiting for Kyron Lacey, and it's awesome they got it from him. So Kyron Lacey, the guy that needs to come through for this LSU team, and he did so yesterday. But this was kind of a good matchup for LSU because Peyton Thorne does not really present much of a challenge as a dual threat. He does have some ability as a quarterback, but he cannot really hurt them with his legs. So this is with Wingo, Mason Smith, guys that can rush the passer kind of later in the progression of the or later when the quarterback drops back. This was a game that really was in favor of LSU, and the LSU secondary, LSU defense performed at a pretty high level as a whole. Major Burns did give up a play. There wasn't a flawless performance of the defense, but I think this is what I've been stressing with the defense. Can they just get a little bit better each week? I think that's the main goal for LSU. Can the defense just continue to get a little bit better each week? And I think they did that yesterday. Awesome win for LSU. And yeah, Logan Diggs, I say, you talk about, I think what's awesome about LSU is, the offensive line is going to, there's some just a couple of absolutes, non-negotiables, whatever term you want to use for LSU is, they know Logan Diggs is going to get his. He's going to perform at a high level. He is just, there's always going to be at least 2-3 plays where he just has a big 10, 12-yard, 15-yard burst through the middle. Because LSU's offensive line is just so good that there's going to be a few plays where there's just gaping holes and he just picks up a chunk play. So the fact that they can get at least 2 or 3 of those per game, I think is just absolutely critical for LSU, because that's what I picture in my mind when I think of LSU's offense is Logan Diggs just getting a chunk play for this team. But yeah, Kyron Lacey looked awesome. Malik Neighbors looked awesome too. Those guys in the open field is so exciting to watch, and I think it's kind of like with Jamar Chase, Jefferson, and Terrence Marshall. It is kind of similar. Not that those 3 guys combined are as good as those 3 guys. I don't think there is any 3 receiver combo in the country that was as good as those 3 guys, maybe in the history of college football. But it is similar in the sense that there's likely Lacey, Neighbors, Thomas, there is likely one of those 3 guys is just going to absolutely show out on any given game. So I think it's awesome that it came from Kyron Lacey. Next week it could be Brian Thomas again, or it could be Malik Neighbors. Maybe it is Kyron Lacey again. But the fact that one of those guys can come through on a consistent week, and then Malik Neighbors has just been consistently good each week. The fact that one of those guys can explode on a given week, I think is outstanding, and it's so crucial to this offense continuing to make big plays and putting up 30-plus points a game, and just being a team where you're going to have to score to beat them. I think that's what's cool about LSU, and that's what gives them hope against Florida, A&M, and Alabama. Some of their tougher games coming up is, if the fact that they can put up points really is going to make them a threat to beat anyone. I think that's what, that's why I'm confident that LSU is going to beat Alabama, because I'll say it right now, because Alabama, they've struggled. It seems like every game it hasn't been smooth sailing for Alabama this year in any game. And the fact that you can guarantee LSU is going to put up points. You can guarantee they are going to put pressure on Alabama with their offensive line. With those two things guaranteed in that game, I think those will give Alabama a lot of problems, and I think that's what's key for LSU to win the game. But yeah, much needed victory for LSU, and LSU. Still just the two losses. I obviously, I've talked about this. I'm not writing off LSU as of right now. I still think they can win I still think they can win the conference and get in the playoffs. I've never been in the belief that two losses eliminates you from the playoffs. I know we haven't. I think that's more of a myth just because we haven't had two teams make the playoffs who have two losses. But yeah, I'm still all aboard LSU. Not just because I talk LSU. This is a team. I think it's just a team where I'm thinking to myself last night, like if I didn't cover LSU football, I would think, wow, what a disappointment. But if you really cover this team and you really kind of understand how this team works and how in the skill set of every given player, I think it'll be no surprise to me knowing what I know in depth about this whole roster if they do win out and win the SEC championship and get in the college football playoff. But yeah, it's just tough because that's the thing. Like we kind of had this discussion. Once you lose two games early, I think a lot of people just assume you're going to lose again. That's the thing in college football is. If you lose a game early, you lose two games early, immediately people want to write you off. But, the optimist in everyone, that thought is, what if we win out? That's always the thought that crosses your mind. I mean, obviously, with some teams, it's a very low percentage that they do that. But with LSU, what is the chance they win out? Even if there is only a 40, 50% chance, it's still, there definitely is it's a fair chance to say the least. That's the thing. Some teams with two losses right now that you'd say, if they win out, what does it matter? But yeah, with LSU, if they win out, that's a strong resume, and especially with the one loss coming to Florida State, a team that's still undefeated, had an incredible showing yesterday, 41-3 victory over Syracuse. So, really, I think the way you can't really do this. This isn't fair to do this, but the way you look at LSU is you're really saying this is really almost a one-loss team, and I know that Florida State loss counts as an L, but you feel like that's a game where obviously you can't give them fully a free pass for it, but you kind of have to look at it as, okay, let's say they don't play Florida State and they would have played McNeese State. Okay, now for LSU sitting at one loss, think of the way people would be viewing this LSU team if they had, shoulda, woulda, coulda, didn't, talking completely. Obviously, we can't rewrite what happened. But think if they had played McNeese State there, or I don't even see if they had played. Say they had played, I don't know, Washington State, an okay team, and they beat them. I think now you're looking at LSU and you're going with the one loss to Ole Miss, and you're looking at LSU like, yeah, they had a few bad defensive performances, but they still just have the one loss and their defense is getting better. I think you really look at this LSU team a whole lot differently, and I think you look at them in a lot more positive light as opposed to, even the Florida State game, even though it's kind of a distant, it's still maybe not a distant memory, but it's still, or it's kind of, obviously they've moved on a little bit from that. It's still a game where it adds to the discussion of, or it makes the case for this LSU defense really not being championship level. But obviously, teams get worse as the season goes on. Teams get better. The old saying, well-coached teams get better as the season goes on. I think that's the case for LSU. I think Brian Kelly is a good coach. I think they have good coaches on this staff, so I think they are going to continue to get better, even if it is just one step at a time of improvement on the defense. That adds up over a course of 3, 4, 5 games. So LSU defense trending in the right direction, and their offense performing at a high level still consistently. And Jaden Daniels, when he takes off. You talk about Logan. I talked about Logan Diggs getting those chunk plays in the running game. Jaden Daniels too. When he takes off, he really, it really is something special. And he can really pick up multiple yards on a given play. And Daniels just doing an excellent job of really running this offense. I'd say he looks comfortable, but I think he looked comfortable last year. I think this year he just. I think he's quicker to take off. And I'll say this, this is one thing I question. I think he has improved as a passer. He's a lot more. Mechanics are a little bit tighter, release a little bit quicker. I think the ball. I think his arm strength. I think his arm looks a little stronger this year, and the ball is coming out with a little more zip on it. So I think he has improved as a passer, and he's quicker to decide to take off and run, quicker to make 3 reads in the passing game, and the arm strength, mechanics, everything has improved. So I guess if you pose the question for Jaden Daniels, has he improved overall with consideration to passing, decision making, and running ability? I think the answer is yes. So Jaden Daniels done an excellent job this season, and he is. He's playing it at a very high level. And don't forget about the Heisman at this point. I think, LSU, obviously, or I think the Heisman Award a lot of times is seen as the best team or the best quarterback on a championship team, or a really good quarterback on a championship level team with, usually one loss. But I think in this case, Jaden Daniels, even though LSU has 2 losses, I think in this case, Jaden Daniels is making a strong case for the Heisman. And if he continues to play at this level, which he said he is motivated, driven, determined to continue to play at this pace, then why not have a shot at the Heisman Trophy, and why shouldn't he be in the discussion for it? But it was cool to see Harold Perkins get a sack too. LSU, it's good to see Ramos, the kicker, made some kicks too. So LSU, did a lot of things well all around in this game. I think, I could go on and on about the offensive line, but I really just enjoy watching. I feel like, I guess I've kind of made this point before in this channel, but you get a feel like with LSU, with the skill players they have, and the talent, and how the offensive line can impose their will and pass protection in the run game, you feel like LSU has a legitimate shot to win any game they play, and I think that's what's really cool about this LSU team. So. We're not going to do a full episode. I just wanted to discuss the win over Auburn. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in to this clip from Bayou Bengals football. Make sure to stay tuned for more episodes and clips from the show. Till next time, peace.